Welcome to Android Authority on Air, the original Android Hangout show on Google+. I'm Derek Ross.
And I am Scott Anderson.
And with us this week we have Wookie, a.k.a. Christopher Wook, not the other way around, from Android Authority, as well as Jonathan Franklin and Dan Charlton, CPU expert.
How you guys doing,
So, thanks for joining us this week. We have a whole bunch of rumors to talk about. Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of major news in the Android world, but we have a few topics, such as, what's Android and Windows going to do here in the near future? Is Android going to take over the Windows desktop with tablets and everything? We actually had a big story about that on Android Authority this week. We're going to talk about some upcoming device rumors because, like I said, it's Rumor Week. We're going to talk about some Chromebook rumors. We're going to even dig into some processor rumors. And we have some Android ecosystem news as usual. And Dan, do we have any Dan's whiny time to talk about patent wars this week or no?
There's been some news and patents, but not really a whole lot this week.
All right, well, I'm sure you could find something to yell about, right? All right, so before we get started on Android news, let's talk about some Android Authority news. We had some milestones this past week, actually two major milestones. We hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So those of you that are watching via YouTube right now, thank you very much.
100,000.
If you subscribed. If you did not subscribe yet, go and hit that little subscribe button. It's up in that corner, or maybe it's up in that corner, wherever it's at. Go ahead and hit that. If you're watching on Google Plus right now, thank you very much for watching on Google Plus. We now have 100,000 plus ones. If you haven't plus one Android Authority yet, go ahead and hit that. It's over there. Actually, it's probably kind of down that way. Go ahead and plus one that, and help us get towards 200K. So, anyways, to celebrate us getting 100,000 YouTube subscribers and 100,000 plus ones on Google Plus, we're going to give away a Nexus 4.
And is that an international giveaway?
Why, yes. Yes, it is.
Good to know.
So, no matter where you're from on planet Earth, you are eligible. And usually on these type of contests, we're saying, hey, go here, circle us, follow us, like us, share. We don't really need you to do that. What we do want you to do is give us some feedback. So we're going to go ahead and put the comment in the show feed here, and you can in the comments the link to where you can go give us some feedback. So just go to the website, you'll find the form. Just ask for, hey, how we're doing, what can we do to better serve you, what can we do to improve? And I'm really interested in is what can we do to do better on air because, well, obviously we're doing something wrong. Scott, he can't even give away a contest. He's not allowed to give away contests anymore. But
Not allowed.
We'll have more Nexus backdoor fiascos if we.
What I would like to add is that people don't even have to tell us anything.
Yeah.
That's optional. We'd really appreciate it if they did, but you can say nothing and still enter the contest.
Exactly.
Please say something because we do take your input.
You just click the button and you're eligible. But if you want to say Wookie is doing great, but he could improve upon such things as
more guitars.
More guitars.
Yeah, more guitars on the back wall.
Yeah.
Less green, maybe some more.
That's definitely an area you need to focus on.
If you could put a cello in the corner over there, then that'd be a definite improvement.
Yeah, maybe add a mandolin or a full drum kit set up in the background.
There you go, little drums in the background. That's Wookie. That's a good suggestion. I could see that. Maybe you could do a live intro and outro for us. You could do a little jam session,
Maybe a
From
suggestion
myself,
for,
Like, what's his name?
If the people ask for it, I'll do it.
Maybe a suggestion for me would be make my bed. What?
That actually, I'll tell you right now, if you submit a suggestion to have Scott make his bed for a show, that would be amazing. I can't get him to make it. I've asked him.
I will listen to all the feedback that people give me. Whether it's outrageous or whether it's constructive criticism, I will listen to all of it and I will do all of it.
All right. So anyways, Android Authority on Air has a big announcement coming up. As you noticed, this is episode 50, now with Les Dalmore. And episode 50 is 2 weeks away, obviously, from 52. 52 weeks in a year. That means we're going to be a year old soon. So we're going to do some cool stuff as well. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a ton of giveaways. We have a few things lined up, a few things in the works, such as we're going to give away $150 worth of Cruiser Light gift codes. So if you need some cases, need some plushies, some Cruiser Light cool stuff, we're going to have that, and then a whole bunch more we have planned. So we're going to be announcing a little bit more next week about what we have planned as well, and then obviously in 2 weeks we'll have giveaways. For those of you that watch the show live, we'll have some special stuff for you, but we know everybody can't make it live, so we're going to make it fair. So we're going to give away some stuff after the show for people that watch on YouTube later or that listen on SoundCloud or Stitcher or wherever else you can find us on the web, which is pretty much like everywhere, right? All right, so let's get to some Android stuff. Android 4.2.2 has been making the rounds via leaks over the past week or so. We saw it, show up in Brazil with a blurry screenshot. We saw another blurry screenshot of somebody else running Android 4.2.2, and people said, you know what? You can fake a screenshot. You can edit a build.prop, which, yes, you can. I could be running Android 7.53 right now if I wanted to by editing my build.prop. What's that, Dan?
That would cause some interesting problems.
Yeah, but either way, I can edit my build.prop to say I'm running whatever I want.
Yeah.
So a lot of people said, screenshots are kind of inconclusive. I mean, we know it's obviously coming, and but we need some more evidence. So I asked our webmaster here at Android Authority, Derek Scott, to dig into our logs and look at the Apache web server logs and show me everything that said Android 4.2.2. And I saw Nexus Galaxy Nexuses running Android 4.2.2. I saw Nexus 4, Nexus 7, Nexus 10. I saw every supported Nexus device running Android 4.2.2. And I thought, well, somebody could really be trolling the Android community right now and
Hardcore.
Editing the build.prop on every Nexus device they own. And that's very possible. But then I looked
flooding your servers with requests.
Well, yeah, so I thought, okay, they could do that. But then I looked at a little bit further, and there's multiple versions of the build, such as JDQ23, which actually is the most popular one. But there's a good half a dozen, if not more, different builds. So that means they would have to edit their build.prop, again, restart their phone, log into the website, shut down. I mean, that's a lot of work. So you have 4 different devices, 6 different builds showing up on each one, and we saw multiple builds of Chrome and Chrome Beta, and also Flipboard. So that's a whole hell of a lot of work to fake all that stuff, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 visits. It's dozens of hits, hundreds of hits. The actual most popular device was the Galaxy Nexus, actually, and it visited the site 1,000 times in the past week. So, yeah, well, it's 1,000 hits, I guess. It's not 1,000 visits. So it was on the site more than just one page. It browsed around and opened a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to say that's pretty much a done deal, that the build's there. It's actively being tested by internal Googlers, most likely. It's probably coming soon. When do we know when? No. It could come tomorrow. It could come in a month. Who knows? But it's definitely there, and chances are somebody's watching us or reading this right now from one of those devices, since it pretty much hammered our server with that. So
that means the Android Authority website's pretty popular with Google testers.
Yeah, well, I've always wondered that. Do they go around and visiting all the different Android news sites just to see if somebody figures this out, or
or just to laugh at them when they get stuff wrong? They think we're working on that. Little do they know.
Well, one of the I didn't mention this in the article that I wrote. this past week, but one of the builds actually said CyanogenMod 4.2.2, and it was a CyanogenMod Nightly from November 25th, 2012. So, I mean, that's obviously fake. But so somebody edited their build.prop a couple months back. It was probably a CM Nightly. Yeah, it might not have been, but either way, they edited it to say 4.2.2, and that was obviously fake. And you can obviously tell those type of things. So, anyways, yeah, it's
You can tell if someone's 12, basically. I mean, no offense to whoever did that. I'm just saying that, like, when I was around that age, I did that kind of stuff. Like,
you edited your build.prop when you were 12 years old.
Well, I would like compile code. And
so,
I
like 20 years ago, you were editing
to act like I programmed all this, and then I changed the name of things because I knew how to compile stuff, I knew how to edit little bits, but I didn't know how to code yet. So I have a feeling that's kind of what you're seeing there. Is they may not be 12, they could be.
He made his Macintosh look like 3.1.
What's that?
He made his Macintosh look like Windows 3.1 back in the day.
All right, so we have some other ecosystem news here. No surprise, right? The Android ecosystem, Android continues to dominate the market. Q4 numbers are out, and so that's all sales of devices from September to the end of December. And 53.4% of the market share for those 3 months was Android. That's massive. We know that it's actually slightly up from last quarter. It's almost up by 1%. So there is growth.
Last quarter or from this quarter last year?
No, that was from last quarter, Q3.
And this is just US, right?
Apple, as usual, Apple comes in at second place. They grew 2% over the last 3 months. So Apple, Apple's slowly coming back. 2%
That's
growth.
Also their Q1, right? Like that's going to be the best quarter they have.
Yeah, because they just released the new iPhone. Yeah,
2013.
Exactly. And coming in the last 3 spots are obviously BlackBerry, Windows Phone, and Symbian as well. They barely show up on the charts. Yeah, Symbian comes in at 0.6%, so they're trucking along, and BlackBerry and Windows Phone make up less than 10%. So, and they're continuing losing market share as well,
and desperately trying to claw their way back.
Yeah, and on the device front, Apple sold more devices than Samsung, and then we have HTC, and then Motorola. And then LG actually rose a little bit. I'm assuming because of Nexus 4 sales. Because
I would doubt that.
You like that joke, huh?
No, I'm serious. They haven't sold enough for that to help their.
Oh, I know.
The ones they sold razor thin margins. I would doubt that LG is making
they
money.
They were the one of the lower guys to actually grow.
Yeah, but they really didn't have anywhere to go but up.
Hey, now Symbian's at the bottom, and they're still going down.
Well, Symbian is dead. There's no device available now with Symbian, so.
Yeah. It's
real quick, I'm going to say I'm an LG fan. I really am. I probably shouldn't be. I have no reason to be. But if I didn't have the Droid DNA right now, I would have an Optimus G.
Oh no, I would say their latest cut of devices are great.
And there's a leak, actually, we're going to talk about here in a minute about the Optimus G Pro. But that's device news. Let's move on a little bit here, a little more Android ecosystem news. So I believe, Dan, you have some information about Samsung and Apple?
Yeah, so the Brand Keys Consumer Loyalty Index was released in February, and Samsung is leading a lot of electronic categories, which really isn't all that surprising because they make TVs that people like as well as a lot of other appliances. But this is the first year they're beating Apple on the category of smartphones. They're also tying Apple on the category of laptops, computers in general. So they've really come a long way because, by and large, Samsung was never a big computer company. So for them to be catching up in, laptops is a huge, huge step forward for them. Amazon also beat out Apple in the category dedicated to tablets. So that's not just, that's the iPad losing to the Kindle, right? Like that's a huge step forward for Android in general, and especially for Amazon. Not a good sign for Apple at all. And this isn't just some little survey, right? Like this is a 40,000 person survey that they put 95% confidence in. So it's a pretty big deal. And the difference between Apple and Samsung wasn't small. So Apple has been leading in all of these rankings for a pretty long time, and that lead is disappearing. So more bad news for Apple.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of my friends who have Samsung phones will see laptops. Like I had a real terrible Samsung netbook for a while. And they'd be like, oh, Samsung makes computers too? Like they had literally started to think of them as just a phone company. So it's interesting to see that they're doing more with their computer stuff, which to me was more what I thought of when I thought of Samsung. But
yeah, I mean, before cell phones, I just think of them as general electronics, right? Like TV.
yeah.
TVs, yeah. TVs, stereo equipment.
Yeah.
DVD player.
Home electronics, right? Like
Yeah.
it makes sense that they jump into cell phones, just like Vizio is trying to jump into computers and cell phones and tablets, right? Like it's not a big jump from electronics manufacturer to manufacturing some other type of electronics that uses most of the same
They
stuff.
need to diversify themselves,
Yeah. That way they don't get bought out like Motorola, who was diversified and still not stable.
They had a pretty clean start with computers too. And if you look at their computers, they're beautiful. I mean, they're very well designed compared
Well,
to...
of course they are. They copied Apple, right?
No, Samsung's products are designed for humans, as opposed to everybody else's products that are apparently not.
I don't know. I'll say my little Samsung netbook, it started falling apart everywhere.
Oh,
like literally bits and pieces of plastic popping off.
Oh, yeah, they
open it up and little bits would spring that were supposed to be covering wires. It was not good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about some devices. So anybody here in Ouya, however you want to say, people say it different ways, but that Android console Kickstarter from last summer, anybody a backer?
No.
I gave him $100. I'm not even a console gamer, but I thought it was a heck of an idea. So I gave him $100. They're going to be shipping out to Kickstarter regular backers sometime next month. The developer edition has already gone out. They made an announcement recently that there's going to be a different Ouya product every year, similar to smartphones, such as the Galaxy S2, then the Galaxy S3, then the Galaxy S4. So they're going to follow that hardware rollout, and that makes sense because the mobile technology is changing extremely fast. There's new processors, there's better processors, there's more RAM, more prices are falling. So that makes sense. But what's interesting about this is most consoles now last for years. The like Xbox lasts for 5-7 years. I mean, so now the Xbox also costs hundreds of dollars, and this only costs $100. So it's a little, I'm curious. How developers.
They could very easily jack up the specs in different ways and put more RAM in it or put a real hard drive in it and make it a $300 or $400 device that's more designed to compete with the other big name consoles.
And eventually, after the first rollout, I mean, they might do that. But I think with each device per year, the concept is awesome if they're trying to go after the big guys.
I mean, it's awesome in that they'll sell a lot of devices and make more money than the big guys that are sort of going for the long game. But the trade-off is that you get much more in-depth and, big games on those consoles because they do last for so long. And so you get game development companies that put years into making these games. So they're highly refined and highly polished. And Android games are getting better, but they aren't on that level.
Yeah, nowhere near the wherewithal of the bigger companies, bigger consoles themselves.
Yep, and part of the reason for that is how fast the hardware is moving in mobile right now, right? Like a company is not going to invest 8 months into developing some game because everything that's on the market right now is going to be obsolete in 8 months.
Well, Dan, from a development standpoint, let's say right now you develop for the first generation product and it has a Tegra 3 processor. A year from now, the Ouya 2 comes out and it has a Tegra 4. So now developers got to make a game that is compatible with both platforms.
So
Now, one thing
not necessarily both platforms.
Well, the CEO said that all games are going to be backwards compatible.
The CEO can say that, but when Android stops being backwards compatible, he doesn't have a choice.
But yeah.
She.
Yeah, the problem.
Right, like, there are things that are designed to run for Android 4.2 that don't run on Android 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, that's
nothing that any third party is going to do is going to change that fact.
That's very true.
Especially when they're expecting fourth parties to be developing games to sell them on their console.
Yeah, and if they make everything backwards,
free software that's released, they can't promise that.
And if they make anything backwards, or if they don't make things backwards compatible, then it will give them an incentive to purchase the new one because it'll have hardware and software that's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, one thing that is going to help them out is you take your games with you. So when you a couple years from now, you buy the Ouya 3, you don't have to go buy all new games. Your games are going to come forward with you, and you're not going to lose those titles. You're not going to lose money, which is sometimes different. Some going from maybe the PlayStation 2 to the upcoming PlayStation 4. That those games might not work.
Well, I guess you could say that with the Play Store right now. I mean, you can get it on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's the same thing. So they're just trying to make their own.
The only one who absolutely hates this idea for a game console.
No.
Because, I mean, for a phone, yeah, I understand it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to use it. It's going to get obsolete after a while, but I can still make calls and things like that. But with games, I don't want to have something that's obsolete in a year. I don't want to have something that's obsolete in 3 years. I want to have something that's going to last at least 4 years of entertainment. And sure, things may come out that are going to be more technologically advanced, but I want to be supported at least that long.
Yeah. And you also want to have the big name games that people are talking about on the other platforms. And, they might have developers develop just specifically for Ouya and not Microsoft. They might do it, Dan. I mean, and I don't know how big the names are going to be, but they're going to have to do that in order to add another luring effect. There will be some games specifically just for it that only are on that are.
That's going to be a hard thing to get because the majority of the people that develop for this are going to be independent developers that just don't have a ton of money to put into it. But the other thing is you risk, if you remember PC gaming, especially when PC gaming started, and everybody's having to rush to upgrade their graphics card every couple of years because the games got so big. And Ouya's going to go through the same thing if they decide that they want to use mobile hardware. But when you make a game for something like that, you have to cater to the lowest common denominator. If I make a game for iOS and I can optimize it for an iPhone 5, but there are so many people still on an iPhone 4 that I really can't choose to make a game that's so graphically intense that it's going to, completely obsolete them. And any game developer that wants to make money has to cater to that market. So right now you've got consoles that are 6 years old, and the PC gaming market is it's still going, but most PC games are ports from games that were intended for these consoles. So the PC gaming market is nowhere near where it should be because the consoles are holding them back.
And I hear everything you're saying on that, but let's back up a second and compare the two. We're talking about a $600-700 computer or a $600-700 brand new PlayStation whenever or a brand new Xbox versus a $100 game console.
Incremental upgrades.
That's true, but that still leaves you buying them every year, and it still leaves you getting new games because the games are going to get obsolete too.
But the games,
Just as quickly.
I doubt, and I could be wrong because it's not released yet, but I doubt we're going to see a $50 game like we do right now with the big name consoles. We're going to see $5 and maybe a $10 game. You know,
but
we're
that's
going to see
part of the problem with having an Android-based console. If you're going to get a console, you want to play console-level games.
Yeah.
You
That's
want to
true.
pay $50 so you
Agreed.
can play a game like Halo.
But the thing is, you want to get a console that is X amount of dollars that's significantly more. So, you're not, when you're buying this, you're not thinking I'm buying a console.
Right,
And you
no, the
have to
people
think
who are
like
buying
that.
it are going to look at it and say, why the F do I want to buy a box to play Angry Birds on my TV?
No, it's very true, and I think a lot of people would think that, but you can also, think that they're not necessarily, like I bought a
You know what,
Chromebook.
Dan? My 3-year-old son would love to play Angry Birds on the TV.
That's a
There
good
you go.
market, and I do think
That's very true.
I think they'll sell products, but I mean, even still, when you're talking about obsolescence, it's already obsolete. It's coming out some months in the future.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Tegra 3. Right
Here's the
now,
thing.
manufacturers are building devices with the Tegra 4.
And I said that 7
It
months
was
ago after I
already.
$100. I said 7 months ago. I said, all right, I'm going to back this. Sure, it's coming out 7 months from now. It's going to be obsolete by then. But I said I had faith, and it was only $100. But yeah, I was very curious what they were going to do. And then what do we see at CES a few weeks ago, Wookie? We saw Project Shield, which is going to come out with
Exactly.
Tegra 4. And it's going to come out, I'm guessing, in a few months, probably.
And Shield is doing it the right way. Shield is saying, like, hey, we're going to use your computer. So you can just upgrade that, and you can still use Shield and things
Yeah, but
like
anything
that.
with a
I mean,
with a
you can
Kepler
use Android games on the device
console.
itself, too. But you're never going to, well, not never. But, I mean, Shield is not going to become as obsolete nearly as quick as anything else.
The one thing to mention would be the dying breed of desktops. All right, let's move on because it has turned into Ouya all the things and games all the things, which is good. But let's move on.
You want to talk about some rumors, or you want to talk about some real news?
Ooh, I like rumors a little bit.
All right, so fingers crossed, confidence high type rumor. The Galaxy S4 is going to be available very soon. Maybe a month, maybe March 15th. Who knows? That's what the latest rumor is. But supposedly it's going to roll out to Eastern countries in Europe first, then all of Europe, then Asia, followed by that, sometime in April. Then the United States and Africa and Australia will follow in May and June. By the time we have to give U.S. carriers a few months to screw things up. So I'm guessing the U.S., if this is right, won't get it till June. But we'll see the international version come out maybe in April. So
I think that's
I really think, I don't know what you guys think, but with regards to looks, it's going to be between the Note 2 and the S3, and they're going to form them into one. Thoughts?
I could definitely see that happening. I would personally rather see something a bit more. I don't know. I know people love that design, but it always seems a little clunky to me. I don't know what it is. I
I
know
think they'll change something.
I'm going to say it's not going to be extremely different from the S3. It'll be a little different, but it's going to be similar enough that people are going to see it and know
feel
what
at
it is.
home if they had S3 prior, right?
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause the S3 is the best-selling phone right now, so they don't want to go and change everything on people.
Yeah. Plus,
Similar to Apple's method, you don't want to change it, but
Yeah,
you
but
want to change it every few
right now.
years, not keep it the same for 5 years.
yeah, I mean, I think that the hardware will be a generational update. The software obviously will be the latest Jelly Bean coming out. But I think design, yeah, they're going to try and sort of streamline things into making sure that people know that devices that look generally like this are Galaxy S's. Just like people know devices that look like iPhones are iPhones.
Yeah,
Although
and
apparently people think that devices that look like everything else on the planet are also iPhones. Or at least Apple thinks they're that stupid.
Damon Hart said, just say no to the hardware button. I'm with him 100%. 100%.
I honestly think that doing it just because the S3 is popular does not give them an excuse to let off the gas as far as being comfortable, because there's still a lot of things that Samsung could do. Samsung is very good at marketing, and they've done an extremely good job of making people aware that their brand exists. But LG, Sony, HTC, Motorola have really raised the bar for build quality. If you look at the Xperia Z and phones like that, it makes an S3. I mean, realistically, Samsung phones are fairly durable, but they feel like cheap plastic. And if they don't step up those kinds of things, then they don't need to let off the gas there. They need to do that. They need to work on TouchWiz.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting if they do bring up the build quality. I mean, you talk about them wanting to be familiar with the prior device, so I don't think it'll change like with leaps and bounds, but I definitely think that they will screen resolution. They'll definitely increase that, and that will be something that will be appealing to a lot of people, but they can still make the phone feel and, be familiar with the S3. So I think bigger and, better hardware and better screen resolution will be kind of the touting features.
But no, that build quality is, I'm sorry to say, I think it's crap.
That is what Samsung does, and they do it well.
Yeah,
you know what we're going to do when the S4 comes out, Wookie? We're going to do another drop test like we did last year, and we're going to see how it does. We're going to see if it is crap.
Yeah.
It's not even just about durability, though. It looks, feels cheap.
Yeah.
It's not just, like, I'm not saying that the build quality is flimsy or poor. I'm just saying it feels cheap.
Very true.
And my next is
both of those things. I think I actually did this with a friend of mine today. I had him take my DNA, which obviously has its flaws, and a Note 2. And I told him, like, take him and try to twist it. And he twisted the Note 2 around and did it with the DNA, and the DNA just feels more solid.
I'm not saying DNA is solid, Wookie. It is. It's a very solid phone. I was surprised.
Solid phones.
Yeah, I hate and I love the phone. I love the build quality.
I'm right there with you, by the way.
I just hate. Well, there's a couple things I hate about it. I hate that I have to use my fingernail to turn the power on or off. I shouldn't have to not cut my thumbnail, for weeks at a time just so I can use my phone. And not really, but I'm over exaggerating a little bit. And I hate hardware keys. I do, but it's a well built phone. But anyways, let's move on and talk about some other devices here. Some newer devices. The Vizio Co-Star got an over-the-air update this week. Scott, you have a Vizio Co-Star, correct?
I haven't updated it.
You haven't updated? You
No.
got to update it. All right, so
I will.
So Scott, and those of you that have the Vizio Co-Star, this is actually the first Google TV set-top box to get the version 3 update. Version 3 is actually a big deal. It adds a couple different things. On the Co-Star, it added Amazon Instant Video, which before it was just a web browser interface, and it was absolutely horrible. Yeah, I mean, it was bad, in my opinion. I never used it because it was so bad. The app is amazing. It also added Voodoo to the Co-Star, and it added the new version of MGO, which you could have manually updated in the past. MGO came out finally about a month ago. So but if you didn't update it yet, it added it for you.
Isn't Voodoo the locker service of buying a movie and having the digital copy available?
MGO is that service.
MGO is that service.
Yeah, Voodoo's
what is Voodoo then?
Voodoo's a movie rental service.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with buying something and having it in the cloud.
I'm going to say I honestly don't know because I don't use Voodoo. I use Amazon Instant Video. I use Netflix. I use Google Play for all my content. I don't use Voodoo, so I don't know all there is to know about it. But I do know about MGO because I've tried it. And MGO is a locker and lets you use ultraviolet content. Anyway, so back to
that's what it is. Ultraviolet. That's what I
okay.
was thinking of. Sorry.
And back to the Co-Star. Co-Star owners now have the Primetime Quick Guide. So when you hit Guide, it doesn't bring up your DVR box, your cable provider box. It brings up the little quick guide showing you if you're watching a TV show, it's a drama. It'll bring up other drama shows that are currently playing right now. You're watching sports, it'll show you other sports shows, and then you can scroll through it. It's really nice. I like the Primetime Quick Guide. It's pretty awesome.
But we don't want no drama.
And it also added voice search support, which is actually kind of interesting because the remote, unlike other remotes, doesn't have a mic built in. The Hisense Pulse has a remote that has a mic built in. So you need to use another mic. The Google Play app doesn't fully support it the way that Google TV, the new Google TV version would want you to. When you try to launch voice search, it says something like, "Hey, a new version of the Google TV app is coming. Check for it in the Play Store soon." Something like that. But you can still do voice search like you always could have with the existing Google TV app, Able Remote, and it allows you to do searches that way.
I want Google Now and Google TV.
Now, Dan, you said your review actually got version 3 as well.
It did not. I don't think it got version 3, but it did get a significant update. I don't know.
I didn't think it was. I was going to be shocked if it got version 3 because I was specifically told that version 3 was not coming to the review.
Well, I mean, I think that it was on some ancient version. It had gotten updated to Honeycomb, but I think that it was 3.0, and this just stepped it up to 3.2.
Okay, so that
I mean, it's a significant update over what it was.
Yeah, and that's kind of confusing.
The Play Store actually works now, whereas before it gave some bizarre menu for your My Apps area.
Okay.
It didn't show any of my apps there. Nothing ever updated. I could never download anything. The Play Store actually works. It's a new, like the fresh new UI. The Google TV and Movies app that they released a while ago that's been working on the Co-Star for since
that update actually has been out for a while, Dan. Maybe you just did. Yeah.
No, I've searched for it. It's never come through.
Okay.
And of course, it's not like you can root it and update it yourself.
You can root it.
You can, but it's a real pain.
Oh, let's cry about it.
All right, so those of you that have a Co-Star and you didn't get your update yet, I'm going to let you know a little secret. If you go into settings, manage applications, then you go down, you scroll down the list to the Co-Star Updater service. If you force close that, clear data if there's any data, then force close it, and then power off your Co-Star or pull the plug out and then plug it back in. When you boot back up, chances are the update will be available for you. If
Just
it doesn't work,
kind of like what you do with the framework on an Android device.
Yeah, that's actually how I forced the update on mine, and I've told that to a whole bunch of other people, and they've actually forced the update as well. So there you go. Good luck. Moving on here. Let's real quick. Nexus 4 images are available again. So if you're into rootin' and ramen this week, you want to make sure you download a copy of those. So you have them for safekeeping. If you're into rootin' and ramen, you know what the Nexus binaries are. It's an easy way to get back to stock.
Not the binaries.
I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. Nexus 4
Decidedly not the binaries.
The actual binaries are still not available yet, but the factory images are there. So if you flash a bad bootloader, kernel, radio, ROM, whatever you do, you can get it back to stock, and they're great to have. I've done it numerous times on my Nexus 7, Galaxy Nexus, so yeah, and it's nice to have those on the Nexus 4 as well. Ready for another rumor?
Rumor?
All right, so Verizon DNA owners such as me and Wookie, there's a rumor going around now that the HTC M7, their new flagship, I hate that word, but their new flagship device is going to come to Verizon. And it's basically the exact same phone with a little smaller screen and a little bigger processor and a little bigger camera. So,
bigger processor or a faster processor?
Faster.
Faster.
Okay.
I mean, they're really...
The same processor, just clock time.
Yeah, they're
it's
really...
a little bit bigger. It'll make your device a lot heavier.
Well, actually, with a smaller screen, it should actually be lighter.
Should be.
But I mean, it's
what she said.
such a similar device. I'm surprised, but there was a leak showing a device on Verizon's network, or a device coming to the Verizon's network called the DLX Plus. And if you remember, the original code name for the DNA was the DLX, and we commonly referred to that as the Droid DIX on the show.
But yeah,
it's a DIX.
It looked like DIX because people were writing it in lowercase. So a lowercase L kind of looks like an I, and it was everybody called it the HTC Dix. DIX.
Droid Dix.
So the also the DLX. Some people thought it stood for Droid Incredible X, but it actually
the L looks like an I. Get it?
So anyways, the oh, Scott. So anyways, the HTC M7 might be coming to Verizon, and it might be called the DNA Plus or the Deluxe Plus. Who knows? It's a rumor. It's speculation.
Do you guys think that works? I mean, they tried it with the HTC One X, and it does. The Plus version kind of just seems lackluster. Do you guys think that as well?
Totally.
I mean, like, just come out with a whole new thing and don't just try to improve on something else. Like, at least add another number to it, like the Galaxy S3 or the Galaxy S4. But, like,
I have
the
to
Plus...
think that part of it is Verizon, though.
You think so?
I do. Look at how many freaking Motorola's they spit out. Every other month, there's a new Max or Plus or 2 or Ultra Triple LTE maximum battery life forever.
Okay, that one's coming out next month.
Well, I mean, even Motorola got that done this year, where you had the original Razr and Razr Max come out like December of 2011.
Yeah, a few months later they had the updated version come out.
No, it was like August. I mean, it was almost a year. I mean,
so a few months later.
The Razr came out, and then like 3 months later was the Razr Max, and then like 3 months after that it was the Razr 2 and the Razr Max 2.
But the thing is, it had a meaning to it. It had a meaning to it. The Max was battery life. HD was...
But why didn't the original just come with that? That's my argument.
Because they have to sell you on other devices, son.
All right, well, whatever.
Yeah,
So
but this crap
wait,
only happens on Verizon.
No.
So I'm not exactly surprised to see it from HTC.
Derek, you've got to be pissed about this, right?
I'm getting rid of the DNA anyways because I hate that damn phone.
Ooh.
I can't. I can't do that.
I'm gonna waste $600, but I can't use that damn thing anymore. I hate it. I loved it for the first month that I had it, Wookiee. It was awesome, but I can't stand Sense anymore. I need an AOSP ROM on it. And
I know what you mean, but that's the worst thing, is that I have to have mine for reviews and for, I mean, not reviews anymore, but for verses and things like that. So
you know what I'm hearing is, I'm hearing you need a raise so you can get a new phone.
No. What it is that I have a Note 2 here that I can totally use. I just can't use it on.
That's all right. We'll put a request in to get you a raise. It's fine. You know, we'll add that to it.
It's just that, I've got to. I really do. I really want to like the DNA.
Well, you know what, Wookiee?
Like Verizon keeps trying to make me not like it.
That's what Verizon typically does.
That's what Verizon does.
That is their motto, I believe.
It's better though.
Google's motto is "Don't be evil." Verizon's is like, "Yeah, we're evil, and we don't care."
Yes, evil.
You're gonna be evil. Make as much money at it as you can.
Like all those
all right, so let's move on. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about something not so much related to Android, but kind of related to Android, but definitely related to Google, and we're all Google fans. Let's talk about some Chromebook stuff. So,
can I give my impressions of mine?
Of what?
My
Your
Chromebook? Yeah.
No.
2 minutes?
Because we're talking about Chromebook rumors.
Oh my god, can I just talk about mine? I got it, and I'm excited.
Okay, so Chromebook Pixel blew up and lit the internet on fire a couple days ago. Chromebook Pixel, you know what? No one really knows what the hell this thing is or if it's even real.
I just want to talk about mine.
Thank God Hangouts have mute, Scott. There we go. Okay, so Chromebook Pixel, is it real? Is it a rumor? Is it fake? Is it a PR stunt? Who knows? It was a video that showed up on YouTube showing a very professionally done video advertisement for a supposed new Chromebook called Chromebook Pixel, and it has a massive display. For those of you that, for lack of better terms, we'll just say it had a Retina display. I hate using that. I hate using that word, but that's really what it was. It had 234 ppi, I believe. It was massive. The screen had 4 million pixels, so very, very. And it was a touch screen too. And if you guys remember, sometime back in November, there was a leak out of China saying Google's building a new Chromebook. It's going to have a touch screen, yada yada yada. And then we don't hear anything for months. And then all of a sudden, this video pops up. So, is it real? Is it not real? Well, in my opinion, nothing confirms something like takedown requests. And immediately, videos started to be taken down all across YouTube. Now there's new ones up there that aren't taken down, but the original one was taken down. So who knows if it's real or not. Then the CEO of the company said that, sorry, the video was leaked. We didn't post it. Our servers were hacked. People stole the video and uploaded it. And then the guy publicly apologizes to Sergey on Google Plus, Plus mentioning him, which is kind of interesting. So you're like, wow, is this real? Is this a PR stunt? Nobody really knows. And who knows? There's been other people that have looked into it a little bit. J.R. Raphael from Computer World looked into it a lot, and he said that basically that he doesn't think the company is professional enough to work for Google. They have shoddy advertisements with spelling mistakes, broken English on their website. It doesn't look like a professional operation. So chances are it's a fake or a PR stunt, which very well could be true. And then I looked into it a little bit, and I found out that ChromebookPixel.com was registered last October, and the company that is holding it right now is Mark Monitor, which they hold a lot of domains, but Mark Monitor does various domain services for Google. And Mark Monitor lists Google as one of their top 100 companies that they do work for, top 100 clients. Now they also do work for many other clients too. So I don't know. I don't really know what to believe. The fact that we already heard about this from a China leak months ago. Then shortly after that, the domain name was bought by a company that Google uses. The video is very well done. It's not, somebody spent a lot of time doing it. I don't know. What do you guys believe? The Chromebook Pixel, is it real? Is it not real?
I personally want it to be real, and I think the name is badass. I think it's a great name. I think it's a good thing, a good milestone to start off a new type of their own Chromebook that is theirs. I think it'd be cool. But as to the rumors and if it's valid or not, who knows? We all in the Android world would love to have all the rumors be true, and that would be cool. But I don't know. Do you guys think there's any validity to this?
Yeah, I question whether or not they want to, start competing with themselves. Right?
Yeah.
I think nothing would kill Android tablets faster than touchscreen Chromebooks that could run Android apps.
Well, and that goes along with other rumors, and other speculation that, hey, Google put out a new statue last week. It is a Chrome Android. Is that just supposed to be something that's cool? But it's Google. Everything has like an underlying, meaning, right? That's what we'd like to think. So
a lot of people haven't noticed, but that statue was actually 1 pixel wide.
Yes, you know what else is chrome colored? The foil hats people wear.
Ooh,
I like that.
So so many people have said they want a marriage of Chrome and Android, and could this happen? Could it eventually happen? And forever ago, people said no, they run different architectures. And then we see projects like Android x86, saying, well, it's ported to that, unofficial, reports. And then we see Chromebook running on ARM, like the Samsung Chromebook. So we say, oh, okay, well, it can be done. And then we start hearing things like, oh, a touch screen, so Chrome OS, using Chrome OS on a touch screen, that just doesn't sound very intuitive because it's not built for touch. So why in the hell would they build it? You'd have to do a complete, a bunch of UI changes. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. And then you start thinking, well, what if Chrome can run Android apps? Just speculating. And then you have a rumor such as today where references to certain code from NVIDIA showed up on Chromium.org, their code review site. And what does that mean? Who knows? It means that, well, they're testing a new processor from NVIDIA, the Tegra 4. Chances are there's a new device, codenamed Puppy, that they're building for, and Android was mentioned in one section in the code. What does that mean? I don't know. It makes me excited to find out, the future, but it's a bunch of speculations and a bunch of rumors, and the code doesn't lie. It's obviously there. It says that Chromium's being built for a Tegra 4, and the code name for that CPU is Wayne. We had a long discussion about that, and the code that was pulled from NVIDIA mentioned a board that we know NVIDIA to be using it for testing. So maybe Google's using it for testing, or on Chromium. Who really knows? All we know is that there's NVIDIA code there. NVIDIA's coming out with a badass processor that probably could drive all those pixels in a Chromebook Pixel, and 4 million pixels, because it has an insane amount of cores.
72 GPU cores.
Yeah, so
I think they just
could drive all
tiny cores to say, F you, Apple, brag about your quad-core GPU now.
Yeah, so they have all these cores to drive all these pixels, and it's going to be fast enough to run maybe Chrome and Android. Who really knows? And I'm just talking out loud.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, as a Linux user, and I'm pretty sure I know for a fact some of you guys are too, that
Mint Linux right now.
NVIDIA is like the only company that actually supports Linux, even though it is a binary blob. Nerd.
Do you know Linus Torvalds gave NVIDIA the finger a few months back, right? Do you know what Linus said to NVIDIA a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
And what his gesture was, right?
Well, yes.
He doesn't like them.
I'm well aware of that, but
He told them they were #1, and what they could go do to themselves.
I know, but my point
With
is
good reason.
that there's a difference between being like an open source kind of person, and there's using your code base to actually help people use the hardware they bought.
I'm sure NVIDIA won't mind supporting Linux if they're buying Tegra 4s. I mean, they'll support the hell out of that.
Well, my point is, I only buy GeForce cards because they actually work on Linux.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I understand. I have to click that box every time when I install some like Ubuntu or something. Luckily, Fedora makes me go the hard way and do it. But, I have to understand every time I install anything that, yes, I know this is not open source and that I'm tainting the kernel by doing this, but at least they're letting me use my hardware. Whereas
ATI does the same thing.
What?
ATI does the same thing.
Yeah, except I've never had ATI actually work well. That's the main difference to me. But anyway...
Yeah, but then the GPUs that NVIDIA puts in laptops don't work with Linux at all.
Yeah, that's
I have no experience there.
Yeah, the desktop system on the chips they're making are utterly and completely incapable of running Linux right now.
That I did not know.
Anyways, back on topic. So NVIDIA,
but no, my original
point, Chromebook, Android,
real quick, was just that I think they have a bit more experience writing for those kinds of system so that, say, NVIDIA stuff with Chrome OS, not so unbelievable as it might be for somebody else.
Yeah. And they've also been a lot better in terms of open source with ARM-based production than they have with some of their desktop stuff, or laptops in particular.
So the question is let's say this is true. Let's say Chromebook Pixel or Puppy, or maybe that's its code name. Who knows? This device does come true. Is it going to be Android-based and Chrome is going to run in it and Chrome is going to bring web apps, or is it going to be Chromium OS, Chrome OS, and Chrome is going to get Android app support?
I think Chrome OS getting Android app support is far more likely. Virtualizing Android is a lot easier than virtualizing Chrome OS.
Yeah, I definitely think the second option is definitely more doable, and it makes a lot more sense.
So if that actually happens, what does that do to current Android tablets?
Not much, I don't think.
It doesn't do much to tablets at all.
It's interesting though. So you would have a tablet and a phone that runs just plain Android, and then you would have a laptop or a Chromebox or a desktop that runs Chrome OS, and you can go ahead and pull in all your Android apps, and Android content.
I don't think either one of those is going to be the case, because, bear with me on it, I was having a discussion about it the other day, but I think the purpose, if you look at things like Google Now on Android and how many native apps is that replacing, but Chrome, in a way, Chrome OS anyway, they need something, because anything, especially on the desktop or anything tablet form factor, touch UI on a web browser is crap. It is garbage. And because it's still optimized for mouse and keyboard, realistically, and developers just don't have anything there. I think the purpose that they're going to use Chrome OS was really initially intended for business and education, but also Chrome OS can be something to bring to Android to actually get the web on Android as a platform, because they need to find ways, because Google, that's their monetization method.
Oh, exactly. They want as many people possible to be on the web, so they give it away for free. The more people that are on the web, the more money they make. But
the developers have to get on board too. So if they get a platform and they're dominating the desktop web browser, and they're dominating, the smartphone and, hopefully the tablet market too, but you have to create ways to make mobile users use the web more than they currently do. And Chrome OS actually gives, I don't know if this high-end device will be nothing but Chrome, but it will give them a compelling device to develop for the web.
Yeah.
All I know is I'm excited for Google I/O to see what awesome things Google and Android and Chrome have coming for us, and to see if any of these things that we've talked about today end up coming true, or or something we haven't even speculated, comes from it.
I think it'll be revolved around the Nexus Q in some type of way, shape, or form. No, but I think it'll be something bringing those features and integrating them into something, which is going to be done. It's going to be cannibalized, and it's going to happen. I just don't know what platform it's going to go into. Be kind of cool to figure that out.
Well, I mean, from the outset, it was an idea in search of a platform that they packaged into a platform that was totally inappropriate for it.
Yeah, but I'm just interested to see what they form it into.
All right, so we talked about a whole bunch of rumors this week, some Android ecosystem news, and for those of you that are tuning in late in the show, just a quick reminder that Android Authority, we have some milestones, 100K users or subscribers on YouTube and 100K plus ones. Because of that, we're giving away a Nexus 4. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just sign up, enter your name into the contest. That's all. But if you want to give us feedback, letting us know what we're doing wrong, what we could improve upon, or what you love, what your favorite thing is we do on air, on YouTube, as well as the website for news, let us know. We'd love to have your feedback. So go ahead and check us out. Just go to AndroidAuthority.com. The contest is right up there at the top. Nexus 4 International giveaway for reaching these milestones. And you can also find us on SoundCloud. Every week we upload our show there for your listening pleasure. We're also on Stitcher Radio, YouTube, as we mentioned. And for those of you that use iTunes for podcasts, we're on iTunes as well.
And also, after every show, Derek Ross posts about the show. If you go to AndroidAuthority.com, scroll down to the bottom right side, little section called On Air. We do a little update after every show, day or two after, just kind of summarizing what we talked about. And there's one more thing. Oh, yeah, Stitcher Radio got a huge update, by the way. If you do listen to us on Stitcher Radio, check it out. If you listened to us on there before, because it was crap, now it's a little bit less crappy.
So when you're checking us out on the website here, maybe this week, maybe next week, you might see something new. You might see a whole lot of new, actually.
Ooh, I like
teaser.
That. Teaser. I like rumors. AndroidAuthority.com might be releasing a new website. Unconfirmed reports, but there have been leaks. And there may or may not be a mobile website for you phone users that you view the website. All right,
Don't say that. Don't say that. They'll go nuts.
I said may or may not be. May or may not be.
Thanks for coming, and appreciate it, Jonathan Franklin, my man. Thanks for coming, Wookie. I appreciate the backdrop. You bring character to our show.
That's all I do, and that's fine with me.
And Scott, make your damn bed.
If it's in the feedback, I will.
All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks for watching.